Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Madia Lopez, and I am Chief Visionary Officer of the Lopez Effect, which is an education firm that provides the blueprint of success for schools and leaders, as well as the founder and principal of Mount Holbridge's Academy, a New York City public school located here in New York City. To my left is Sylvia Acevedo. She is the CEO of Girl Scouts. And to the left of her is Ana de Almeida Amaral, who is a former Girl Scouts, but also a current student at Stanford University. Yes. So our topic of discussion today is about taking charge and making space for the next generation. And so I'm going to start with a question with Sylvia. She's literally a rocket scientist who has worked for NASA, but as well was an executive with various tech companies. And my question to you is, how have you brought your experiences from these previous industries into the work that you're doing with as the CEO of Girl Scouts, because those industries have been historically underrepresented by women of color. So what is that work like for you, especially the implications that it has for a young woman like Ana?
All right. Hi. First of all, thank you, and very much thank you to Diane von Furstenberg. And yes, I am rocking the DVF scarf for Girl Scouts, so thank you very much. And she has so generously donated all of the proceeds to Girl Scouts, so thank you very much for that. So, you know, in terms of your question, so yeah, I was a rocket scientist, tech exec, worked on the White House for President Obama on education, and now I get to be the leader of Girl Scouts. So how did all of that inform what I'm doing today? Well, one of the things is, as a rocket scientist, math doesn't intimidate me. And scale doesn't intimidate me. And so, you know, when you can use your powers of good for good in terms of math and scale. So when I think about Girl Scouts and the opportunity, you think about our wonderful, iconic cookie program. Anybody know about our great, yes, right? But if you think about it, and one of the things in perspective I brought in to my position is, if you think about it, we provide Girl Scout cookies, and people want those cookies all over America, in rural, urban, and suburban communities. And so we have this network, or a path, and now we're using that very same path to provide girls with amazing STEM skills. In fact, Girl Scouts is the largest U.S. national effort to give girls the skills they need in technology. So we provide badges, and in the last 3 years, we provided more than 100 new badges in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. So those are things like robotics, coding, programming, app development, cybersecurity, environmentalism. And what we do now is it goes into rural communities, it goes into suburban communities, and we do it at scale. So what does that mean? That means last year, in 2019, 1 million STEM badges were earned. Yes.
Amazing.
That also means our cybersecurity, 128,000 cybersecurity badges were earned. And you know, one of the stories I like to tell about that is that we do reach deep into rural, urban, and suburban. And a little bit over 3 years ago, I got to go to Alabama, and I got to meet one of our top cookie sellers who was from a rural community. And I asked her, what's the secret to your success? And she said, I think it's because I take my pet chicken with me. All right? So now 3 years later, I go back to Alabama. She and her family have come and they wanted to talk to me. They've all earned their cybersecurity badges. And not only that, they've used that for their college essay. And they've gotten 4-year full ride scholarships in cybersecurity. And so what I love about that is that we have a network that is providing the girls with the contemporary skills, because as the world is being rewritten around us, line by line, code by code, these girls are not just going to be users of technology, but they're going to be the creators, the inventors, the designers. And no one else has our scale and reach with such success.
So as a proud mom of a former Girl Scout who is now studying cybersecurity in college, I will definitely say that Girl Scouts has had a major influence in that decision. But I'm going to ask Anna a question. In October 2019, it is very important for us to acknowledge that she received the Gold Award from Girl Scouts, which is the highest achievement for her work around designing an ethnic studies course in high school, which she not only designed but taught. And so I want you to share, why was this work so important to you, and how did Girl Scouts help to inspire you to pursue this project?
Thank you. For those of you that don't know, the Girl Scout Gold Award is the highest award that a high school age Girl Scout can get. It requires her to find an issue in her community and address the root cause of that issue in a project that has a sustainable impact at the local and global level. So for my Gold Award, I designed, developed, and taught the first ethnic studies course at my school in response to a lack of representation of people of color that I saw in the history courses that were taught at my school. I taught it from the time that I was in 10th grade until I graduated, and I mentored younger students to be able to take on my role, and they continue teaching it today. And then once I saw what a transformative experience it was for my community, I decided that it wasn't fair that only the 30 students that were in my class every semester got to have access to that opportunity. So I created professional development seminars for educators, teaching about anti-racist pedagogy, culturally responsive pedagogy, so that these experiences that were truly transformative and empowering for my students could be experienced all throughout the country. And so to your question, the reason why I chose to do this project was because I truly love my community. I always say that my Gold Award project is not my project, but it's truly our project. As I said, they continue it on today. They're teaching it now, and now that I've moved away and gone to college, I come back over break and I visit them, and I'm sitting in the class and they're teaching me, and I'm realizing that they're doing things in such an incredible manner, way better than I ever did it when I was teaching it. So it's truly about manifesting that love for my community in a way that uplifts and empowers all of us.
You know, it is commendable and so important to acknowledge our youth, because you all definitely have the answers. And as a principal, I've always prided myself on listening to my scholars, because in order to be an effective teacher, we have to be learners. And especially in this day and age, your experiences may be different. We want the same for you, the success, but there's so much that you are providing to the world. And you are a great example of what Girl Scouts has become, continues to evolve. And so with that, I have a question for you, Sylvia. What is Girl Scouts doing to continue to give girls voices, but also prepare them for future industries that don't even exist yet?
Thanks for that question. And also, I wanted to help understand a little bit about the Gold Award first. So we have 3 highest awards: Silver, Bronze, which are service awards. So like the Eagle Scout that you've heard of, that's a service award, in Silver and Bronze. But the Gold Award is clearly a Changemaker award. And I like to describe the differences. You know, a park bench, that's a service, and so that you would get a service award for that. But the park itself, that's a Gold Award project. And so it's really somebody who really makes a sustainable change in their community. And you know, those are the kinds of things that we're teaching at Girl Scouts. So there's several ways that we're approaching what's going on in the world to make sure that we're giving girls the skills they need. You know, as we're moving from the industrial age to the, you know, digital age, we got to make sure that girls have the skills they need. So one of them is that entrepreneurial. So we're never going to get away from that iconic cookie program, because that teaches you so many important skills. Looking somebody at the eye, how to communicate, that's your first sell. You know, I always tell people, if they want to convince somebody else, the first person they have to convince is themselves. And the cookie program does that. And that's one of the reasons that half of all successful women entrepreneurs, they were Girl Scouts. The other part is our leadership, and making sure that girls are learning those very important social emotional skills, leadership. The next one is the great outdoors and the ability to wonder. I got my start on my science and rocket science was on a camping trip, looking at the stars. It is so important to continue to wonder. So at Girl Scouts, we also have that sense of those leadership that, all those things that you learn, the self-efficacy, working together, project management, teamwork that you learn outdoors. But finally, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. So much of the world is being rewritten, and we are not at the table. And girls, women, our point of view need to be there. We need to be developing the apps. We need to be developing the programs. And part of the skills that we have, that we're teaching girls, things like robotics, one of the things that I'm hoping for in the future, there'll be this moment when somebody said, oh, we can't make that change that improves safety, that improves that game so that it's not as harmful for our young children. Somebody would say, we have to reprogram a sensor. And I want a woman to be there at the table, whether she's the boss, whether she's the programmer, whether she's the lawyer, the marketeer, and to say, you know what? All that is reprogramming a sensor. I did that in middle school in Girl Scouts. It's no big deal. So I want them to have that confidence, that courage, that character to speak up. And the other thing that we're doing is, you may not know it, but across America, civics has been taken out of American classrooms. Mm-hmm. And so what's happening is we now have 2 generations of parents that don't know about American civics. And so at Girl Scouts, we're doubling down. Not only do we have civic badges from age 5 all the way to 18, this year we're announcing our democracy badges, so girls will learn about 3 branches of government, things that they aren't being taught anymore. Girl Scouts right now, over half of all female elected officials are Girl Scouts. Yes. 60% of the women in Congress, Girl Scouts. 70% of the U.S. senators, Girl Scouts. All 3 secretaries of state, Girl Scouts. In Silicon Valley, majority of the female tech leaders are Girl Scouts. And we want to make sure that that continues. And I know it's making an impact because last November's election, the 2 youngest people ever elected at a state level was a 19-year-old Gold Award Girl Scout. She was elected to the New Hampshire State Legislature, and her Gold Award project was ending child marriage in New Hampshire. And just so you know, on average, Girl Scouts in high school changed 3 state laws a year. But the other person, youngest congressperson ever elected, male or female, 27-year-old, attributes her success to Girl Scouts. You might have heard of her. She's from New York, AOC. Yes. And so what are we doing? We're making sure that girls have those skills. Girls have the digital skills as the world is being rewritten. They have the interpersonal skills. They have the ability to have that courage, that confidence to speak up that they've learned through our leadership, our entrepreneurship program. They understand civics so that, like Anna, they just don't protest. They solve the problem, provide a solution, and make a difference. And that's really what we're doing at Girl Scouts now.
And so at dinner yesterday, I shared that part of my role as a principal, I'm a social disruptor because there are a lot of things in our education system that is just so antiquated and so far behind. And girl empowerment is really, really important to me, not just as a woman, but also a mother, and seeing the capability that our young people can have, especially with the examples that are in this room. But with all that you're teaching our young girls, there is the reality of the distractions that happens in the media, on social media, as well as in the news. And so my question for you, Anna, is like, how has Girl Scouts helped girls, including yourself, to really develop personally in terms of your confidence, self-esteem, self-love, and cultivating sisterhood?
So when I was in my formative years, so 11, 12, 13 years old, I was receiving those same messages that I was getting from my classroom that didn't have representation of people of color. It made me feel like I didn't matter in that space. And at the time, when social media, I feel like things have changed now, but a lot of the representation that I was getting also told me that I wasn't beautiful. And it told me that a lot of what my value was how I looked. And through Girl Scouts, it showed me that I have so much more value in the skills that I have. Like Sylvia said, the 3 pillars of Girl Scouts are courage, confidence, and character. I learned so much courage when I traveled for the first time by myself when I was 14 years old through a Girl Scouts program to Costa Rica for 2 weeks on a surfing trip. I got lost in the airport by myself. And it took so much courage to say, 1, apply for this program, say this is what I wanted, fundraise for my program, and then go by myself. As for confidence, I mean, selling cookies from kindergarten, that took a lot of confidence, and that is really something that carried me to be able to stand in a room full of educators where I was constantly one of the few people of color in the room. I was always the youngest person in the room. I was always the person with the least education, standing in front of educators, asking them to make a change in their system. And lastly, for character, I mean, there's nothing more telling about how beautiful someone's character is than when they love their community and want to make a change about it.
Awesome. Yes, you can clap for that. Sylvia, I'm sure throughout your career, you've had major influences over your life. I would like to ask you, earlier in your career, what was helpful in terms of the type of advice that you received that helped in your personal growth?
So, you know, I grew up in a Spanish-speaking household. You weren't supposed to talk to adults before they talked to you. So one of the best pieces of advice came from my troop leader. She said, never leave the side of a sail until you heard no 3 times. And that's so important because as that 7-year-old, I began trying to figure out how do you get to the yes. And that was really the inflection points in my career, is how do you get to the yes? And you know, through Girl Scouts, you know, we're able to use that now. One of the things that we're looking at is gender parity. And at Girl Scouts, because of our iconic cookie program across the nation, if you bundle up all of our revenues together, we're over $1 billion organization. We are the largest female independent organization in the world, thanks to those cookies. So when you're buying those cookies, you're, you know, taking a wonderful bite into female independence. Yes. But what we're doing is now we're asking, we have a gender parity pledge, which is fair play, equal pay. And so we're asking our vendors, we're using the power of our purse. What other female organization has $1 billion in buying power and asks its vendors, do you have 30% female leadership and do you pay fairly, equal pay for equal work? We are using the power of our purse for that. In addition to that, we're really realizing the power of coming together. And so yes, we're very focused on girls from 5 to 18, but we realize there's so many Girl Scout alum. I don't know how many of you are in the room. Raise your hands. Look around. All right, I'm going to ask you to go to girlscouts.org/alum, ALUM, and join us. Give us your name, because what we realize is there's so much power in coming together, using our voices, and supporting the rising generation. There's 8,000 other Gold Award Girl Scouts like Anna, changing the world. We have 50,000 silver and bronze Girl Scouts changing their communities. We have 1.6 million girls in our pipeline in rural, urban, and suburban communities all over America. We are giving them the tools, the skills, the confidence, the leadership that they can stand proudly and make their voices heard. At Girl Scouts, we're not red or blue, we're Girl Scout green. So the values that they believe in, we want to give them the tools that they can have those values expressed in their community. Thank you.
Excellent. So Sylvia gave all of you who are former Girl Scouts the charge of going on that website and signing up so that you can pay it forward to the next generation. But with the last 2 minutes left, I would like Anna to share with us what charge are you giving to every woman in this room about what they can do in order to help pay it forward for Girl Scouts and just young women in general.
Absolutely. Like Sylvia said, get involved with Girl Scouts, please. Some of the most incredible mentors that I've had in my life has been through Girl Scouts. My troop leaders, mentors, my Girl Scout sisters, I've learned so much from them. But the truly transformative experiences of mentorship that I had were when someone listened to me. The only reason that I'm here and that I was able to accomplish my Gold Award was because when I stomped my foot and I said it wasn't okay that we didn't have the representation of people of color in our classrooms, my humanities teacher listened to me. And she said, okay, now what are you gonna do about it? And when I told her that I wanted to teach an ethnic studies class, she gave me her classroom. She said, you can have my elective, I'll sit in the back and you can teach it. And it was through that letting go that she showed me that she truly believed in me. And I couldn't have done it without that belief in my abilities that I didn't even know I had yet. Young women are at the forefront of change in every single field. And so I believe that it's time that we step back, we listen to them, we mentor them and help them when they need it and they ask for it, but we let them show us what they can do.
And so with that, we're going to end this segment, but before we leave out, sorry.
I'm 18.
Our time is up, but we do want to thank Anna. Her mom is here for her tireless work and being a supportive mom.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.